Good morning. Good morning. God has given us another chance to make things right with Him. This is the lovely Wanda, and this is your word of encouragement for today. Yes, your word of encouragement for today. I always try to pray and ask God to give me a message to give to you all each day. And the message that He gave me yesterday was 3 ways to find out who your true friends are. That's right, y'all. 3 ways to find out who your true friends are. Number one, get sick. I'm not talking about a little cold. I'm not talking about a little flu. I'm talking about something a little bigger. Get sick enough where you have to go to the hospital or you are dealing with a disease that has no cure. Let me explain. In 2006, a lot of people don't know that I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis. It's a lung disease, and if you know of a couple of famous people that had the disease, Bernie Mac, that's what he died of, and I believe it was a famous baseball player, I can't remember his name right now, that have suffered with sarcoidosis. As a matter of fact, around the same time that Bernie Mac was in the hospital suffering with sarcoidosis, I was also in the hospital suffering with sarcoidosis. At the time, I was a social worker. I had just moved to Beaufort, South Carolina. And I woke up one morning with severe chest pains. Thought I was having a heart attack. I remember being able to call my supervisor, telling her that I think that I'm having a heart attack. Can't come to work today because I was the only one in the office, and I just needed to get that information to her. As I held my hands over my chest, I was able to manage to get to the hospital. And I got there and they said they saw some scarring on my lung that should not be ignored. And the bottom line is they diagnosed me with sarcoidosis. I had one breathing treatment, and I'm just telling you that it is a disease that does not have a cure for it. And when I talk about having good friends, I'm telling you, at the time, I had a church family that cared about me, Sister Sadie, and I think it was Sister D, Sister Small. I don't want to keep on calling names, though, because I might miss someone. But I'm telling you, when I was bedridden almost for about a month or a month and a half, and I was at that hospital in Beaufort away from my family, I'm telling you, I was sick. Those prayers came and held my hand. I had a couple of dollars in the bank. I had a pretty decent career. I had a fairly new car. But guess what? None of that mattered at that time. I was 37 years old, and only thing I can remember is I was so sick. I could still eat. I was still in my right mind. I knew what was going on, but I was doing everything in slow motion. And I'm telling you, I prayed the prayer, Lord, send somebody to hold my hand. That was my prayer request. That's how sick I was. And God did that. He sent a Sister Small to the hospital, and I just wanted somebody to hold my hand, and there she was. And I went and had a little it was a biopsy they had to do those so they can find out how severe it was. And that was in January of 2006. By the time April of 2006 came, I was up, moving, and I was back to normal. And I went from my checkup, I went through the MRI machine, and the nurse, I remember it like it was yesterday. He was a white male. He had blonde hair, and I believe he had blue or green eyes. And he said, I saw him shaking his head. He said, I ain't never seen nothing like this before in my life. He said, all that scarring that you had in your lungs in January, he said, all of that is gone. I had one breathing treatment. I've had relatives to pass away from sarcoidosis. They said, I found out that it was hereditary. I had several other family members who had it, but at the time I didn't know. Bernie Mac, who had a lot of money, he had more resources than me, better doctors than me. But guess what? I had the prayer warriors and I had true friends on my side. And that nurse told me, he said, whatever you doing, keep on doing it. He said, because it's working. So that's how you know if you got a good support. So I'm telling you, and I don't know who this word is for. If you're having some health issues, don't you hang around the club, people. I know God is able, and I ain't sitting here saying that I'm perfect just because I don't go to the club. But let me tell you something. If you want to get healed, you better hang around some certified prayer warriors. I'm not telling you what I saw on TV. I'm telling you what I know. You better get some certified prayer warriors like me. Because guess what? It's been since 2006. I ain't had to give a quarter to a pulmonary specialist. People thought that I was going to be disabled. I was going to be, I had a church member who was on oxygen walking around, and she was telling me about all the services that I could get for somebody who had sarcoidosis. Guess what, y'all? I ain't had to use none of them by the grace of God because of the prayer warriors, my friends. Let me tell you, number 2, how you can find out who your true friends are. You get sick. The second one is be down to your last dollar. Let me tell you, in other words, in the words of my Aunt Mary, be down to your last brown penny. And I promise you, God will let you know who are your true friends. Let me tell you, I worked at the Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. I had a fairly new car. I had an expense account where I could travel from city to city. I got paid for travel. That was back in 1999 and 2000. My company paid for my cell phone bill. They paid for me to travel. I got paid for, I got a pretty good salary. As a matter of fact, I was making more money than my supervisor who had a doctorate degree. And at that time, I only had a bachelor's degree. And I was paid pretty good. I had the company's checkbook. I had the company's credit card that I could write checks and do what I had to do for my clients. And I'm telling you, I was living good. But guess what? I remember it like it was yesterday. My friend named Clarice, who now lives in Ohio, she came in to visit, and we were at Mary Ann's Diner. I believe it's on Boatman Drive in Sumter. She and I was sitting there having lunch, and I got a call from one of the other young ladies who was doing the same thing that I did in with the Commission on Alcohol and Drug Abuse. She was responsible for Horry County, Viola. She called me and she said, Wanda, they're going to be canceling the program. In 2 weeks, they're going to be canceling the program. In 2 weeks, my salary dropped from about $50,000. Not only that was the money, but that was the package, about $50,000 down to zero. When I say zero, I mean zero. I meant I got unemployment. I think that was like about $297 a week. But when you were used to making that kind of money, making about $1,000 every 2 weeks, back in 1999 from 2003, that was pretty good money. And I'm telling you, y'all, when I got laid off, I got that unemployment check that could pretty much couldn't cover the bills. I'm telling you, I had a fairly new car that they called themselves, the company called themselves trying to repossess. But guess what? None of you all didn't know anything about that because I was still able to hold my head high. Out of my unemployment check, I still paid my faithful tithe and offering. And one thing you sure didn't know is when people call themselves saying that they were going to repossess my car, guess what? I got enough close friends to come and bring $3,000 to my house in one afternoon. That's right, $3,000 to save my car. Guess what? You didn't know that. My sister said that she saw it with her own eyes. She said, if I didn't see it myself, I would never think that this could be possible. But I told her, I said, in good times, I planted the seed. Not that I'm perfect, but in good times, I planted the seed. That means that when I knew somebody needed a piece of bread to eat, I tried to help them. When somebody needed a word of encouragement, I tried to help them. When somebody needed $1, I tried to help them. I planted good seeds. So when my time came around, My friends did not forget about me. I'll never forget that I had a bachelor's degree and I was working at the Days Inn cleaning up hotel rooms. And I had friends that come in their business suits that put $1 in my hand. They picked me up and took me back and forth to work. They used to bring me lunch. And when I sat down and I thought about it, I had 14 friends to come to the Days Inn to help a sister out. That's how I knew who my friends was, because I got down to my last dime. And guess what? They came through. Let me tell you the third way and the final way that you can tell who your true friends are. Let somebody die in your family. Oh, I can't say enough about this. Let somebody die in your family. In 1990, my dad, Louis Green, passed away. I had just graduated. He passed away in September of 1990. I just graduated from Morris College in May of that year. And I thought I had some true friends who was going to be there with me at the time I was dating someone. And he did come to the funeral. I did have 2 co-workers to come to the funeral. But guess what, y'all? I didn't get one card. I did have 2 friends from high school. They did come by the house. They didn't bring a card or anything. That was okay. I was just so glad to see them. But I had 2 friends to come to the house from high school. I didn't have one person to come and bring a card. I didn't have one friend to come to the funeral. Not one friend to come to the funeral. Only the guy that I was dating at the time came to the funeral. My sisters can look back at old cards and things from where their co-workers and people sent them words of encouragement. Guess what, y'all? I didn't get one. I didn't get one. I'm telling you, that's the time that you need your friends. That's the time that you need the encouragement. That's the time that people need to show you that they are a true friend. I'm guilty in some ways. I'm not able to get to everybody's funeral because I have to work and I have other obligations. But a lot of times I try to pick up the phone or send a card in the mail. I try to at least do that. So I just want to encourage you all today to, so you will be able to eliminate some people from your life if they need to go. I'm not a big T.D. Jakes fan, but one of the things that I do believe that one sermon I saw, and he says, if people see it that easy to walk out your life, and he said that their story is finished in your life, let them walk. Let them walk. God bless you. And I just want to thank you all so much for ordering from Lydia's Inspirational Gourmet Cookies. I'm telling you, I was making cookies yesterday, ready to deliver. So I'm thanking you all so much. I'm thanking you in advance for subscribing to my page, that every time I come with an encouraging word, you will be able to know about it. God bless you as we continue to worship the God of heaven in spirit and in truth. God bless you.